So here's our first circuit. We have our Arduino Mega here. It's getting power from the USB and laptop as well as this battery pack. The switch is all the way to the top to the power option, so it's providing power to the digital and analog pins. Our VEX potentiometer is connected to analog pin A0, while our VEX push button is connected to our digital pins 2. And here's our LCD. So let's go ahead and check this out. We have our ACC mechatronics printed at the top, the VEX Mega controller, analog value, and the button is/is not pressed. So let's go ahead and mess with our potentiometer. Turn it, changes the analog value. If I press the push button, press, not press, pressed, not pressed. So here's our next circuit. No potentiometer or push button this time, just our VEX servo. Attached to the servo is our axle and a piece of tape to indicate its position. So if we just take the servo and plug it into digital pin number 2, goes one side 45 degrees, 0 degrees, back to center 90 degrees, 135, 180, and back to center. So here's our next circuit. Pretty much the same as the last, except we've added back our potentiometer. It's back at the analog A0 pin. On our LCD we have our pod value and our mat value, which is basically the angle for the servo. Over here, here's our code or program for the circuit. Now if we run it, adjust the pot, and it adjusts the angle of the VEX motor. That 4th digit kind of sticks, but everything else works perfectly. So here's our next circuit. This circuit will be utilizing 2 push buttons, a DC motor, and a motor controller. So we have push button 1 over here, which is on digital pin 2, push button 2, which is in digital pin 4, and then we have our motor controller in digital pin 6, and that connects the Arduino Mega to our DC motor here, which has its axle and a piece of tape which indicates its position. Over here we have our program for it. And our LCD reads out the direction of the motor. Right now it stops, so it says stop. If we press our first push button, it goes forward. Press our second one, it goes backwards. So here's our final circuit, pretty much the same as the last, except we've added back our potentiometer into our analog A0 pin, and our push buttons have different functions now. So over here is our program. And on our LCD, you can see that our conveyor state and our speed value are both printed. So if I press this first push button, the DC motor runs, and I can also control the speed with the potentiometer, and our speed value changes. And if I press the second push button, the DC motor stops.